Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to our TED Talk class. And today we will speak about sex industry, I would say it in general. And the topic was something like what a sex worker can teach us or something like this. What kind of lesson we can get from her experience or something like this. I watched it by but forgot some details.
Yeah.
Vasans, could you please start to tell us a story?
Yes, this speaker was a sex worker, I think, and he had a client or a customer once who later texted her that uh, thank you for being with me and thank you for embracing me because I lost my wife a couple of years ago and I have been uh, alone. And uh, I haven't had anyone hugging me for a couple of years. So you really gave me, you really saved me, saved my life. So his text was the content of his text was that, and she was she really uh, realized that what she was doing and what can a sex worker do to a person's life, because everybody is having a stereotype, a misconception about sex workers in general, but sex workers can be classified in so many names by names, and she was working with kind of like um, a different one from the conventional way of sex workers. That this one is really different. That was the point.
Okay. Gerard, would you like to add something?
Yes.
Please.
The speaker, I think it's quite idealistic about because most sex workers are not like this woman. This woman looks like educated, cultivated, sensible, and anything, you know. But most sex workers only want to have intercourse quickly and then get another customer and make money. The main reason why sex workers do this job is because they make a lot of money. Maybe in Spain, 15,000 per month or $20,000 per month. That's a lot of money. It's not easy to find a job.
I want to be a prostitute.
Yeah, please.
So the speaker is very sensible, and she claims that she can help people through sex, like psychology, something like this. It's like a sort of therapy.
Well, it's an interesting beginning. So let's discuss it a bit. So first of all, what do you think? From what country is this speaker?
America.
America. Was it said?
Yes, no, she didn't say her country, I think, but I assumed she was an American.
Do you think it's important, the country of origin? I mean, do you think that the sex industry in general is very different in different countries?
No, it is very common in no, it's universal, right? The basic instinct of human is two things. One is hunger, and the another one is reproduction. So this one is common in the world. So we do not have to classify by the country's name.
But I mean that in some countries, for instance, Germany, it's a legal business, and people have how we call it, unions, right? Unions, and these, teacher, help me please. There is some institution of the government. When you between jobs, when you don't have any funding, when you're earning, they help you. They pay you money, but you have some, some duty.
We just call it. That's kind of like we have social workers, so we call them social workers. They help poor people. Help them. They counsel them. They maybe help them find a place they can stay cheap. They
Mhm.
maybe provide soup kitchens to give food to homeless people. So we just call them social workers. I don't know what the department is called.
Okay, but do they provide some teaching, some education, some professional teaching?
Our unemployment department, Department of Employment, offers those services.
Okay, okay. So why I ask him? Because I know about one story. So there was a lady in Germany and she lost her job. So she went to this Department of Employment or something, and then they asked her to apply for a job to a brothel, to be a prostitute. Why? Because it's a legal business in Germany. So it's just a work as many others. And when she refused, she lost her money from this social department because she breaks what I don't know agreement or something.
But
Right? Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead.
This it looks like a urban legend.
Well, maybe, but okay, I can Google about it, but it was like a famous story because this lady told us about this story, and it was some show about that. So people discuss it. So is it a right behavior or bad behavior? Should we send people to work in sex industry because we believe it's the same? What do you think?
I can't believe that. I can't believe in Spain. In Spain, they give you the Office of Employment office give you jobs you can do, but nobody could force you to do such a job.
Yeah. Well, what was my point? My point was that it can be very different in different countries, depend on law, on regulations, and something. So if you're protected by law, if you pay some taxes, if I don't know, police guard you and something, you can pretend maybe that you are kind of a psycho, how to say it, a counselor or something. It's not the same as being on the street in Vietnam or Malaysia or something like this. So I think it can be a huge difference. So is this sex industry is legal in Spain, George?
It's not legal, but it's not illegal.
Okay. What about India?
There is a void. There is a legal void. So there are brothels in Spain.
Mm-hmm. I see. What sounds? What about?
Yeah, it is not legal, but there are certain places we all know, the government know, but we can do nothing about it. So they let it happen, and they get bribed sometimes for turning their faces away. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, speaking of Russia, it's illegal here, and actually, it's kind of a bad business, I would say. I can elaborate about it. I mean that people in that industry don't earn much. So, and it's always like poor people, immigrants from somewhere, and in general, it looks not so good. So when Gerard says that you can earn a lot of money in that, not in Russia. In Russia, it's a poor, it's a say very bad occupation. You don't earn money. So many people do that. I think my impression just to survive, not to earn money. Something.
But they go to other countries. They emigrate to other countries to earn money.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. So, teachily in America, it's.
It's always frowned on as a bad occupation. The legality of it, I don't even know. I think it might be illegal, but it probably varies from state to state. It's everywhere, prostitution's everywhere, the whole world. So I don't even know if it's legal anymore. Sometimes we have sting operations, like in Washington, D.C., and a bunch of famous people get caught going to a whorehouse. So I guess it must be illegal if that's, an issue sometimes, but yeah.
Yeah, Gerard, please.
And what's the name of people who force other women to do prostitution? How do you call that in English?
We in America, they're usually black people, and we call them pimps. Oops.
Yeah.
Pimps. We have also another group of people that are called slave traders. They buy it. They literally buy and sell people to others to use as slave labor. You know, they take away their passports. They threaten them with bodily harm, beat them if they don't obey. You know, so some sex workers are in there voluntarily for their own money, but others are actually controlled by a pimp, and they don't. You know, they're told what to do, when to do it, how much they're going to get for it, and they have to give some of their money to the pimp. So it's it's sex trafficking, another term. Yeah.
Okay, I see. I never heard this term, pimps. Well, speaking of different regulations, you know, if you are a prostitute in Russia, police have no questions to you. It's if you're adult, so it's your choice. But if you are a pimp or if you force someone, so it's a how to say it, serious crime. So you will be punished, like, I think, up to 20 years in prison, something like this. Yes. So it's a difference. But being a prostitute, it's your choice. Please do.
If you ever watch Hollywood movies, pimps are always black guys. They always have a pink Cadillac car. They wear real bright, colorful clothes, maybe with a fur collar. They're very visible. You can find them easily because that's their business.
Yeah.
And they're proud of it.
If you cannot find them, you cannot pay them, right? So.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, Vasant, teach us how in India pimps looks like.
There are also some certain uniforms or identification you can easily get them. They usually have a pouch of photographs or a handbag, a special handbag on their shoulders, and usually in Indian movies they are depicted as eating better leaves, right? You know, the reddish lips. That's a common portray of the pimps in India.
Well, I just Gerard, and in Spain, as they exist, these pimps.
But they are not usual, or they are not visible as in America.
Okay, yeah. You know, they almost extinct in Russia because we have internet for that. So you don't have to find anyone on the street. You just Google it.
I think there's a TED Talk about that where the internet has, or maybe just news articles, where the internet's actually making it safer. They tried to. I think they tried to stop the internet advertising of prostitution, and the prostitutes rose up and said, "That's keeping us safe because I don't have to go to a pimp. If you take away the internet advertising, I got to go back to a pimp, and he's going to beat me and kill me." And so it was funny.
Yeah, but as an IT guy, I know that all these sites usually located somewhere on Cayman Islands, so far away from any jurisdiction. Yeah. Something like this. Okay, we have a few questions. We covered some on our Padlet, but let's answer others. Thank you, Vasant, for the questions. So, do you have any city which is dedicated to sex workers? What could be in America? Casino and prostitutes, are they together?
Usually Navy bases and prostitutes go together.
I see. Gerard, probably touristic places in Spain, right?
Yeah, in Spain here, close to my place, there are many brothels because they are next to the border with France. In France, prostitution is forbidden, so many people come from France, but some are very bad people from Marseille. So Moorish guys, related to drugs.
Yeah. Do you suffer a lot from this?
No, not I. I don't work as security in those places, but I wouldn't like to. My campsite is very quiet, so.
Yeah, but I mean, society in general, does you suffer from this?
No, because that's in those brothers are in a village next to the border. It doesn't affect us. Yeah.
Okay, well, it's good.
I would say all big cities have areas where prostitution is common.
Oh,
Poor
interesting.
areas, drug areas.
Sounds, please.
Yeah, speaking about the physical access to the such places, what about the
We lost him just in the middle of the question. Okay, let me answer then. While we wait. So in Russia we don't have any like special place as far as I know. So no red districts, no special streets, nothing. But I was impressed by these streets in Pattaya, in in Thailand. So they decided that they don't have it like everywhere, and like they want to have one dedicated place for it. So it's kind of a good idea. If when I thought about it, I think it's not bad. You know what you will find there, but you will never find it out of there. So it's a good thing for me. Yeah, but street corners.
If you've seen Hollywood movies, they pretty much depict it like it is. You'll see some woman will be standing on a street corner in a short dress with a low cleavage. She'll be smoking a cigarette, leaning against the wall. It's obvious she's looking for customers, So usually you can just tell, and if a car pulls up to the curb and stops and they walk over to the car, immediately they're a prostitute. And he's a potential customer, So we don't advertise, but it's obvious just from the way they dress and the way they behave that they're a prostitute usually.
Yeah, sure.
Sometimes close to my place, I see many women going to a van.
A van.
I think that they are prostitutes that they go to the brothel. Any women together in a van, it's just quite suspicious. And they look like immigrants, not Spaniards.
Yeah, I understand. Well, maybe I'm not experienced in that, but I never watched something like this in Russia. So they hide somewhere, so never on the streets. But nowadays the fashion and I would say the frivolity of women is so big that sometimes you don't understand.
Who knows?
Yeah, and we lost the son, so yeah,
in America, we have several levels of prostitution. You've got the whores are the lowest level. They're dirty, poor, uneducated. They're just a thing to stick it in and use and leave, We have call girls. They're the call girls. You call them on the phone. They have a business. They're clean. They're educated. They're cultured. And we even have escort services where if you have to go to a dinner party or a social event, you can call an escort service and say, I want a pretty lady to escort me as my date to this big party. And they just, they're like a trophy girl. They just go with you, look pretty. You show everybody, you say, this is my girlfriend or whatever, or this is my wife. It's a deception. And then when you're done, they can go home, or, if you can pay extra and get sex with them. But they're called escort services. They're kind of high class,
Yep. Well, it's interesting that, yes, they can play different roles. Yeah, actually. Vasans, can you speak with us?
Yes.
Please continue. We lost you in the middle of the question.
Yeah, I was asking about the online escort system. Is that easy to find in your country? Is that very common? Because as of I know, Google blocks such websites, and I haven't tried with any other website. I was just checking, and I couldn't find anything. But is that common in your country? looking at online.
If Google blocks it, that's your country. Because over here, I can search for anything I want.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say was something. So sometimes local governments they ask Google to block something, some type of advertisement on some sites, and Google usually goes this way. So they usually don't care. Yeah. So for instance, if Russia asks Google to ban something, they usually ban. So, but I can search on Google in Russia all these escort services without any problems.
Yeah, I just did. That's just a search of links. I just searched on escort services. I got all kind of hits for massage parlors, strip clubs.
Yeah.
We've got gentlemen's clubs.
Yeah, we have them at all. Yeah,
If you have that term, and sometimes you can go to a gentleman's club and you can watch them dance and be entertained, but you can also pay a little extra money to have a private booth, private rooms in the back. So it's hidden in plain sight in America.
Well, actually, it's a problem in Russia. You never know what does mean this men's club. Sometimes, yeah. When you go there, sometimes it can mean rock group concert, or special whiskey or cigarettes. Sometimes it's a brothel, so you never know.
Or a gay club.
Yeah.
Okay, but we started to speak about different roles. So, and it's kind of a point of the speaker, right? So speaker told us that, don't think stereotypically. There can be different roles. So, and, I have an example from my own life, from my own experience. I mean this Thailand experience. So what I found in Thailand. So there are many people, I would say old people from Europe. They go there and give like a temporary wife. It's not just like escort service. So they live there with Thailand girl for years. So they are looking for like temporary families or something like this. Have you watched this? No? So it was interesting, and I asked people why they do that. So, and story is usual stories like this. I am old, I'm divorced, I have no children or something, and I have no things to do. So I go there, and my life is full of events again, something like this. And yeah, and it can long for years. So can we? It's a different role, I would say.
Besides, people that go to the brothel don't have as many problems as having a mistress.
Yeah.
And it's cheaper.
Yeah, cheaper, of course.
Yeah, we have some restaurants over here. You've probably heard of Hooters, but there's another restaurant called Twin Peaks. Twin Peaks has two meanings. It's two mountain peaks is Twin Peaks.
Yep.
But it's also, we call these Twin Peaks. And the waitresses in there wear short shorts, and they wear like a little short top that shows a lot of cleavage. We have another restaurant called Rachel's where the waitresses actually wear lingerie. They wear lingerie and they walk around in, negligee and bra and panties, and this is all legal in America. It's.
I think it's legal in many countries.
But it's not prostitution, but it could be.
we have some shows like Moulin Rouge show, for instance.
Yeah.
What is the difference? Yeah, it's the same.
Yeah. Yeah. What goes on in the background, you never know. Yeah,
Masans, please.
Yeah, I hear that people in Australia they agreed to marry a guy to get the permanent residency for money. Not only in Australia, but in many countries.
Yeah, well, in poor countries, some people don't have too much choice, and some people don't want to hard work or something. So it's usually a shortcut, I would say, my impression. Yeah. Yeah, but let's speak a bit about moral, about society and about moral. So we have a nice question in our Padlet. Can anyone come on stage and confess that he or she is a sex worker like this lady in your country? What will be the reaction of public? So I can tell you for Russia, it will be like a big surprise, a confuse for anyone. So the society will like frown upon this and condemn, like, wow, it's unacceptable. So we still, what's the word for this? Can you say sissy or something? Teachily, how we call this? People who blame others for low moral.
Hypocrite?
Hypocrites, no?
Oh, hypocrites.
Yeah.
Yeah, we use that for a lot of different words, but that type of behavior is hypocritical.
Okay.
Especially a lot of men actually have prostitutes, mistresses, but they condemn it in public as a politician. Oh, this is evil, but they do it themselves. It's like in the paper, this congressman was caught with a prostitute, and I'm going, so they all do it. It's like, so what? What's your point? Yeah.
Oh, and I just looked in the dictionary for the word what was I looking, and it's how they read it. Pharisee. No? Do you know?
Yes.
We don't use that word, Mike. That's a Bible word. Yeah.
Okay, another one is prude or prude something.
Prude.
Yeah. Prude is not kind of like sexually naive.
Okay.
You're
Okay.
showing your ankles. I can see up here. Oh, it's terrible. They're.
Well, it's what our Russian society likes to do. For instance, we had a stupid event just yesterday or a few days ago, and it was on federal news. So what the event is? The event is that in the school, some two boys and a lady, dressed frivolous, like and BDSM style, like something like this, and it became a news for for federal media. Wow. I can't imagine, because they are students and it's inappropriate and all those things. Yeah.
One question, Ivan, do you remember this pop group, two girls pretending that they were lesbian?
Yeah. It was a shock, it was a surprise. Yeah.
But it was a lie, fake lesbian.
Vasants, please.
Yes, there is an actress. She was a porn actress residing in Canada, I think, and made porn films along with her husband. And later she moved to India because her origin was India, and get into the movie business. She got offer from movie industry to act in films, and yes, she was a good actress and she did a good job. But the people started to, as you know, Indian culture is the porn or sex is a taboo for the young couple people. So they all blamed her, and they the way they interact with her was not polite. There was an interviewer who interviewed her, and in that interview, he asked so many sarcastical questions that indirectly referenced her past. But I really liked the way she reacted. She was so polite, and she answered it with a way, how to say that, with a brave manner, with a sensible answers. But people, I'm talking about the people who I bet he would have watched her films, her porn films, but still he is pretending that he hasn't watched anything, and he's like a saint asking questions to. I don't like such people. I know everybody watches their films, but when it comes to public, they act like saints.
There's one or two famous Indian actresses or models that dress provocatively, okay, outside the country.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Vasanth may know, but I think about 5 years ago, one famous actress came back to India to visit her family, and they felt that her behavior was shameful to them. And in India, you're allowed to do what's called an honor killing. If a family member embarrasses your family, you can legally kill them. And they murdered her when she came home because they felt her behavior outside the country had shamed them. I don't know her name, but
I'm sorry, Tishley, but probably it's propaganda. It looks like first of all, it sounds more like Pakistan or something, and it's not legal. It's just traditional. So they do that. They got punishment after, but it's not legal. Honor killing,
No, it's real. I'm pretty sure Vasant can probably say it. I mean, they're trying to get rid of it, but it's an old tradition, and sometimes people use it. And because she was famous and got murdered as an honor killing, it sparked a debate. Do we really want to continue this tradition of allowing legal killing just because your reputation has been affronted by a family member? So I'm pretty sure it's real. Vasant, you can tell me, but it was real at that time.
Please, Vasant.
No, I don't aware of such event, but I think I should search that.
Okay. Because I think I read kind of that type of the story. I think so, but I still don't think that it's allowed to be like it's just, someone can kill someone, but and we call that honor killing, but not. It's not legal, I would say. But
it might be local to one or two provinces that are very conservative.
Yeah, sounds more like Saudi Arabia to me.
Or Pakistan,
I don't know.
Or Pakistan, yeah, I think it's a story from Pakistan. It sounds so for me.
Could be. Yeah.
Okay. We have a saying in Russian, returning to the previous topic, so about hypocrisy and this blaming people. So we have a saying that the old lady who blame young girl probably is a prostitute in her past. So it's a famous Russian saying. So when our Senate trying to prohibit something, we say, wow, that's why
Yeah.
And the curious thing is prostitutes are blamed, but Johns are not blamed. What's the logic of that? Doing prostitution is bad. It should be bad for both parts.
Right. So, Gerard, what would be the reaction of public if someone publicly say something like this lady said on the TED Talk? I was a sex worker or something.
Not a big deal, I think. Not a great deal, because in Spain, prostitution is something normal.
Okay, I understood. Sounds, please.
Yes, I searched, but I think it happened in Pakistan.
Yeah, should be. Yeah. No.
Okay, Pakistan. Okay. Sorry for the insult, Vasant.
It's close.
Okay.
It's very close.
It will happen, but not to actresses. Honor killing is happening here.
Okay.
Let's move on. Another question. Can a better sexual life reduce crimes in our society? What do you think? I don't know what is a better sexual life. You mean for everyone, or more escort services, or what?
Maybe it means not forced sex labor, forced sex worker.
Well,
in other words, if you make it legal, they don't have to go through a pimp.
Yeah, probably.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's a one point of view. Another point of view, another field to think about. I think that there are many crimes that related to sex behavior. There are a lot of them because some people, how to say it, not happy about their sexual life. They want more, something like this, and usually people are not logical persons and all the things. So some kind of education in that, some kind of I don't know what, maybe prostitute service, yes, that can reduce, such a crime, I think. But I'm not an expert, so I'm not a policeman.
Well, one benefit I think we had in our arguments to legalize prostitution back in the old days was disease. If you're an illegal prostitute, you're probably going to have a lot of disease. But if you legalize it and require the employer to make sure everyone has medical checkups, it can reduce disease, because now you're bringing this stuff out in the open where it's not hidden and shameful and illegal, and it can be a cleaner operation with less chance of spreading AIDS and things like that. So it has, legalizing it has benefits, I think.
Yep, I agree.
And in Spain, feminists claim that 90% of the prostitutes are forced, which is not true. I have friends that are police officers and work in this world, and they say that that's not true. Most women that do that do that because of money, but most of them are not forced.
Okay, but it's a nice segue to our next question. Next question is, what are the common problems faced by sex worker in your opinion? So one of the problems is obviously being forced, right? So yeah, and I think it exists in Russia as well, in many countries, I think. So some people are, as teacher Lee said, trafficked, right? Human traffics and slaves and all those things. So it exists, but what are other problems? So other problems, in my opinion, is pursued by police for bribing them, something like this. Yeah. So for corruption, so corrupted policemen, they can, what's the word for this?
Blackmail or extort.
Extort, yeah, blackmail or extort them and demand money. So what else? I don't know.
We have news events where a policeman's accused of arresting a young girl and asking her to give him oral sex in the police car, and he lets her go. We have those kind of things too. So true or not, who can say? I'm sure some of it's true.
Yeah, I just recall it. When you say it, I just recall it. It was a big scandal, like in Russia, that it was an investigation that many policemen, they never pay to prostitute workers. They just use them, yeah, and then like blackmail them, something like this. So it was
complimentary service or something. You're a policeman, you don't pay. You come in for free, you know.
Yeah.
Gee, thanks. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what sounds, please?
Yes, the sexually transmitting diseases are more common, especially in India. There were a lot of illiterate people were doing the sex working at that time, and they had no education about the population control.
Birth control,
birth control. So
and medical literacy, probably, right?
Exactly. After so much of effort, the government made a lot of advertisement and a lot of programs, rallies to educate the people about using condoms, the birth control things, etc. So nowadays it's in control and under control, I think.
Okay, I see. Okay, what else? Gerard, please.
In Spain, for a while, many years ago, we had prostitutes working on the road, next to the road. But you could see them everywhere. And they were cheaper. I think some of them had a PIM, but I think it was bad for the health, and and even dangerous because someone could do something to them.
Yep.
And also dangerous for the customer. And very ugly, very ugly scene from the road. And now, I don't know why. I think the police officers persecute them and the Jones, and we don't have this problem.
Well, it's exactly my opinion about these red streets and all those things. So I like when it's in one place. So I know that I will not go there with my children, and I don't have a chance to meet them in different places. So it's good thing. It's what I like it in Thailand. That it's all concentrated and where. Okay, let's cover the last question. So. What do you think about male sex workers? Are they common in your country? So actually, they exist. I'm pretty sure, but I have nothing. I know nothing about this. Actually, I never meet them or hear about them. So I don't know. We need some feminist guy.
I'm sure they exist. We have a kind of male prostitute. We use a French word, gigolo.
Yeah, we use the same.
Okay, and they're usually high class, rich women will pay them money for sex, and they're also, educated, so they can carry on a conversation. They can treat you like a lady and, flatter you and all this kind of stuff. So we call them toy boys. Rich women will have a toy boy that gives her sex and treats her like she's a queen, and it satisfies her vanity and her,
like the movie American Gigolo. Do you remember this movie, Teacher Lee?
I may have seen it, but I don't remember much about it. But
Richard Gere.
Oh, Richard Gere. Yeah. Okay.
Well,
Yeah.
in Russia, we use a word from Spanish, maybe Don Juan. So it's from some classical book. I don't know what
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
And we call such a people who please ladies for money, but like in long term.
It's like Casanova, the Italian Casanova, the same.
Yeah.
But I think
Don
that's more
Juan Casanova.
the
Yeah.
meaning of a player. We could call that a player, a man that get a lot of women.
Yeah, maybe. But Don Juan, it's something different. It's more like Teacher Lee described it. So you find a lady from high society, you live with her, and you use her money, something like this.
Mhm.
So it's not about like many women. Something.
We have a term called a womanizer. We made a verb out of woman. Okay, a womanizer is a man that uses women like a bath towel. He changes women every night. So Bill Clinton had a reputation for being a womanizer. A lot of scandals, but Hillary stuck by him the whole time. So Hillary says, "Believe women." And then when someone accuses her husband, she says, "Bullshit!" She's a hypocrite. You're lying.
Yeah.
God.
Okay, we run out of our question. If you have one, please share.
Okay.
Anything what we forgot?
Okay, I can tell you something because when I was 20, I work in a brothel, in two brothels. Security in a security company.
Okay.
But I saw at this time was very different because most prostitutes were from Spain, but nowadays most of them are immigrants
From Africa.
From everywhere except Spain.
We have an expression we call prostitution the oldest profession.
Yeah. And you know how we use it in Russia? We say there are three oldest professions. First one is prostitution. Second one is journalists, reporters who write for magazines. And third one is politicians. And we say, and we say only one is a good people. It's prostitutes, Vasants, please.
Recently, I read an answer in Quora platform. It was a true story. The husband shared his experience that he was married to a prostitute, and he used to call her often in the past, and because he was lonely, he didn't want any sexual activity. He just wanted someone to be with him. So he called her and talked to her for some time, and he needed somebody in his home. So he didn't do anything except talking. So she got impressed, and she started cleaning his room more whenever she visits his room, and whenever the pimp asked her to go to his room, she is always available. She didn't complain anything. So after some time, they developed their relationship, and finally they got married. That was really a moving story.
Yeah. Do you remember a movie? It's called Casino with Robert De Niro.
Yes.
Nice movie. We should choose it for our class sometime. And Sharon Stone played like a escort service girl, high society girl, but prostitute. Yeah, it was interesting.
What movie was that?
Casino.
Casino.
With Robert, it's very nice movie. Yeah.
Casino? I haven't seen that one. Okay.
Wow, nice. We will.
Bob De Niro.
Okay.
Yeah.
Taxi was the original movie that made De Niro famous.
Taxi Driver.
He was a taxi driver and he tried to save a prostitute.
Yeah.
She didn't really want to be saved, I don't think, from what I remember. But he got pretty crazy in that movie. Man, all right.
Gerard, please.
Okay, when I was working in the brothel, I met a guy that had his wife was a prostitute.
Mm-hmm.
And he talked with her customer saying, "Okay, I think now she's free. You can go." But I guess he married her when she was already a prostitute.
Yeah, so it was a choice, right?
Yeah.
And we forgot. I just recall there was an event, a tragic event in the World War II history, when Japanese army used, a lot of Philippine and Malaysian girls for their brothels in army. Do you remember?
Yeah.
And it was like hundreds, thousands women. Yeah, it was a disaster.
Yeah. China and Japan don't like each other. Yeah. The old people. We have prostitution's expensive, or can be, I guess. So Americans being ingenious, we have actually small groups of people that form wife swapping clubs.
Swingers, right?
Yeah, to keep life interesting. Yeah.
There was some movie about swingers, some famous one. Gerard, do you know?
No.
No? Okay, I will try to find. So it was interesting. Vasant, please.
Yes, some time ago I watched a documentary about the sex workers in India, and most of them confessed that they were brought to that place by their close relatives, like husband, boyfriend, or their family members. So most of the time, the sex workers don't work with that industry by with a consent, right? They are forced. They had no choice.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Wife swapping. In movies, Hollywood movies, you see prostitution, you see sex trafficking. You never see wife swapping in movies as a routine.
Actually, I have seen such movie. I have seen.
Have you? Okay, I never have, and it's like, why is that taboo? But everything else is okay.
But it was a criminal drama, and one guy blackmailed another guy about this after. Yeah.
Well, yeah, but that was extortion. I'm talking about just normal, voluntary. Oh yeah, my wife. He and I swap wives once in a while. I've never seen a movie that did that, and I'm wondering why that particular, relationship's never done in the movies.
Well, I don't have answer about Bollywood movies, but I think that in Russia it will be like 100 times worse than just prostitution. So people, they will just get mad if you share such a story or something.
Yeah, I mean, yes, like it's a bigger taboo than prostitution. I don't know why, but yeah, okay. Did you ever watch Desperate Housewives?
A few episodes. Yeah.
Okay. I watched it the first year and then I lost interest in it. But in Desperate Housewives, one of the wives, her name was Maisie.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of men were seen going to her home to visit. And she was running a prostitution service out of her home in their neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
And if you remember Bree, the red-headed perfectionist, her husband was going to Maisie to use her prostitute services. And she was high class. She would dress up in, stiletto high heels and sexy black lingerie with a whip, and she would be a dominatrix. She would treat you like a slave. And Bree's husband was doing that one day, and he had a heart attack. And the ambulance went to the woman's home, and took her husband away, and that's when they learned, my God, she's running a prostitution service right in her neighborhood, you know. So it's just funny, you know. But it happens, I guess.
Okay, Vasant, do you have a comment or question? Something? I just missed something in chat. Vasant, do you have a comment or something? Or it was a past? No?
It's
Old one.
Okay, so it was a nice conversation, guys. I think we covered it a bit, and it was nice.
Funny.
Yeah, you know, sometimes it's not easy for some people to speak on such topics, but why not? We should use language, yeah, and speaks. Yeah. So, okay, see you on the next class. And we got a few suggestions about movie. Casino is a very good one, and I will try to find a movie about swingers. It was fine. I don't know. Should we? Can we? Discuss it on public? But why not?
But I think Layla would not be there.
Yeah. Men only club, Ivan.
Yeah. I remember that many years ago, like 2 or 3 years ago, I asked teacher Lee some language question about prostitutes, and all that discussion was deleted from Holy site.
It doesn't happen in America.
Yeah. So people have taboos, and we can do nothing with this. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.
Okay.